But that leads us nicely into also asked. Tell me about this. It's a brilliant tool, by the way.
Thank you. So, okay, also asked is a people also ask research tool. And we were using something similar to also asked internally for quite a few years. And because I started getting interested in this, so this is, for those that don't know, when you do a query in Google, around about 50% of the time, you will get a little box, normally kind of under the first or second result that says people also ask, and it will give you normally 4 questions that are related to what you've typed into Google. Why this interested me so much was that you're essentially getting what Google thinks back in a mirror, in that from Google, you are getting this information that says, when someone asks me this question, the likely next questions they're going to ask are these things. So you could know very little about SEO. And if I said to you, there's one page that answers this question, and there is one page that answers this question, and the next 4 most likely questions, which do you think's on a probability kind of factor going to be more helpful for someone? It's a pretty obvious choice that it's that one, right?
Yeah.
And there's all these really interesting things about people also ask data, such as the questions that appear in people also ask are not necessarily the questions on the website that Google is giving you the answer from. It's because Google has decided that that website answers that question, which is just coming from what people type into their search engine. So this level of data, this level of, I call it intent proximity. So if someone wants to know a thing, there's obviously different paths. Because that's the other thing about intent, is that it's not objective, in that people can type the same thing into Google but want to know different things, and those people themselves have different levels of understanding. So it's all like a probability tree, if that's all you know. So people also ask data gives you this probability tree, which is super helpful from an SEO point of view, if that you're trying to align, if you're trying to align yourself with Google, which I think is a good long-term strategy, unless you want to be squashed by something like Penguin. Google's always saying about being helpful to users, right? So this is a keystone for me, like a cornerstone of how you can do that. If you're trying to understand your service product area, your brand, in a lot of cases, your competitors, your customers' pain points, this is also a trove of information, because you take any of those key phrases from people also ask, I'll give you like a 90% of the time, they will be 0 search volume, right? But they're obviously significant enough to be included on the SERP. So to me, it's one of the most valuable pieces of information at an article level. So we use other tools. We've always used other tools for kind of topic idea generation. What do we want these categories to be about? What should we write about? But when it comes down to, okay, I'm writing something about this, PAA data is where I focus a lot of my work. So we built an internal tool. We put an alpha up of Also Asked, which essentially allows you to put in a keyword. It will live go to Google. It will do that search. It will mine the results by default to the first 2 levels, because if you click on the questions, they kind of concertina out to other questions. And it'll allow you to download that as an image or a spreadsheet. And there are other kind of extensions that you can get, and some of the tools that will do this for free online, like Phrase is one, Search Response is another. And the difference between them and Also Asked is that we actually simulate clicking on the results, whereas a lot of these other, well, all the other tools actually will essentially re-Google the keyword. And the difference between these 2 approaches is actually quite profound. So firstly, if you simulate clicking on the results, your end graph is normally about 20-25% bigger, so you get more questions back. But what's fascinating to me is that if you do a search and then click on the questions to open up the next set of questions, they are different than if you re-Google the next question. And I believe that's because the actual intent of people slightly shifts depending on the root query, because that is a kind of fingerprint for their current level of understanding and where they might be in a buyer journey.
Yeah.
So I think we've got a really nice approach. You can do it by language, by region, without like messing around with VPNs. We've made a way that you can upload 1,000 queries at once, which will get you about 25,000 questions back. So you can look at, if you want to do this at scale with a tool like Keyword Insights and like start clustering, you can do that as well. But that's a service we launched. I've been absolutely amazed by the kind of reception and feedback from the community. We ran it for free as a kind of alpha and then beta test. Had to take it down because it got horrendously expensive to run, because obviously it does use like proxy services and stuff like this. So to continue it, we did launch a paid version. We've recently made the free version kind of bigger, so you can do, it's like 90 searches a month now for free. And if you kind of want more than that, or you want different features, there's subscriptions as well.